It's been too long since IlluviTalks, my friends, way too long. And so much has happened in the industries that we're going to be talking about today. What's up, everybody? Andrew Wall here, host and executive producer at Eluvium, and I'm so excited to bring you a groundbreaking episode of IlluviTalks where we're talking about some of the biggest trends out there that are happening right now with one of the smartest guys on the internet. Future of gaming is the topic today. Artificial intelligence, blockchain regulation, and next generation games are the topics we're discussing today. And really quick, before we get into it, none of this is financial advice. None of it's legal advice when we're talking about the regulatory stuff. This is just the opinions of two smart and ridiculously good-looking men on the internet who just are obsessed with emerging technology. Who is that other ridiculously good-looking and smart individual? It's this guy. It's Vic. 50 million views on TikTok, making crypto, AI, and emerging technology content, man. Congratulations, dude. You're killing it right now.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. And you are definitely way better looking than me, so don't put me on your pedestal.
I'll take it. I am. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great. So let's let's get into the topics for the episode today. We have an insane amount to cover in today's episode. And the first topic I wanted to bring up, of course, is the topic on everybody's mind right now. And that, of course, is AI. So AI, I just want to pull up a few references here. But AI, this is Google Trends right here. You guys remember last year when our space here in gaming was, you know, the hot thing? Everybody was talking about metaverse. Remember right here? Metaverse started popping off in October, November of last year. And then everybody stopped caring about it so much. And look at this. AI, this is on Google Trends right now. AI has literally 100 times more interest on the internet than metaverse right now. It is the emerging technology of today that everyone's chatting about. What do I mean? Well, GPT, text is getting revolutionized by AI. Voice through solutions like Descript. Solutions like Jasper are making AI possible for instant images on the internet. And then solutions like Pictory, it makes video creation automated. So why am I bringing up all of these different mediums? Well, the idea here, Vic, is you're out of a job. You're a content creator. You write, you make images, you make videos. This AI basically does everything that a white-collar worker or a knowledge worker is capable of, but faster and with infinite knowledge. So, in your opinion, do you see AI as a threat to workers or a boon for productivity?
Definitely both at different stages. Right now, it's going to improve productivity. It has been for a lot of us, for me as well. I've used, for example, Midjourney, which you didn't cover there, but Midjourney is by far the best image generation software or AI software that I've seen or that exists. It uses Stable Diffusion. Essentially, it's text-based as well. So you tell it what you want, and then it literally just creates the image. If you go up, Andrew, to the top right corner, go to Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
If you can load up their gallery, it might take a minute to load. I've had a lot of loading issues with every single
Well, the demand
AI
is so
tool.
high for all of
It's
these.
insane.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can barely log in a lot of cases.
But
to get
I've
into
used
Mhm.
Midjourney to create B-roll or images that did not exist for my content. So, for example, like I did a little line about crypto winter, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to use here. So I got Midjourney to generate for me, and I could find it on my hard drive if you like. It's a statue, like in this a frozen statue in winter holding this big Bitcoin, and it's like it looks amazing. It looks like an artist drew it, and I generated it in like 30 seconds, and it cost me $10 a month to use Midjourney Unlimited. It's incredible. So right now, productivity through the roof. It's amazing. Now, moving forward in the future, we're definitely going to see, I would say, like freelancers or small businesses that are really niche in copywriting, in contract revision, in statistical analysis, maybe accounting, things where, you know, the professional is dealing with a lot of data and has to scrape through a lot of data and provide a solution based on that. That's really what's going to be hurt the most first, in my opinion. I don't really see it taking us out at least for another 10 years. And my prediction for when we get taken out is I haven't heard anyone say this out loud, but do you want to hear kind of like what
I mean,
I'm
if you want to
thinking?
get crazy, man, this show, we keep it 100% honest. And so what's your crazy prediction on when AI takes us out, and what is it taking us out actually mean?
Okay, so Andrew, how the TikTok algorithm works. It's
Yes.
AI based. It learns based on your behavior what you like, whether you comment, whether you follow, all this stuff. It knows what you like, and it shows you more of that stuff. And that's why we stay on TikTok. That's why TikTok's so powerful. So let's put that on the shelf for right now. Now we have text prompt-based AI generative tools, things that we tell it what we're looking for, and it creates it. So I can tell ChatGPT, write me a script about this, and it'll write me a script. I can tell Midjourney, give me images like this, and it will give me those images. Eventually, we're going to see kind of a melting pot of these tools where you can pretty much tell it, I want a video about how Bitcoin or how Ethereum is going to flip Bitcoin in 2025, right? Give me a video about that. And it will write the script. It'll generate the images. It'll generate the voice. It'll generate the avatar. It'll mix it all together. It'll add the music, all AI generated. Boom. Okay. So let's put that on the shelf. Now let's mix those two together. You have a TikTok algorithm that knows what you like and knows how to describe what you like. And then you have a prompt-based AI tool that can generate anything based on prompts. So the TikTok algorithm can literally be like, this user likes content about this, make it. And then we'll just be sucked into this infinite content loop of perfectly designed content for us, and RIP, we're done.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so I think this might be part of the Web3 shift that we're talking about. So right now on the internet, guys like you and me and others create content, then upload it to an intermediary platform, and then the intermediary platform serves that content to other humans that want to watch it. I think the transformation here might be that we don't need to create the content and then upload it somewhere. The platform itself just makes the content on its own and just serves that to people. And it basically cuts anyone that wants to create content out because the platform just makes all the content for you. That's a truly revolutionary change in the model, going from content creator to platform to viewer. Instead, it's just platform, viewer. And then we're all just kind of hooked into the technology because the artificial intelligence is better at making videos and has better ideas and has more complete knowledge, can make better graphics more efficiently and more customized than any human ever could, right?
And also, with all that being said, on top of it, you have TikTok, which dynamically changes to your preferences. So you could have an AI dynamically creating content perfect for you, content that was only created for you, and that's all you're being fed is boutique content that's AI generated, and it was designed for your eyes only. And the next guy who's kind of similar to you, like you would see the same kind of video as me because we're similar in a lot of ways, but it wouldn't be the exact same video as me.
Right. I see this being very dangerous, especially for folks that are more susceptible to conspiratorial thinking. Maybe you see one idea that, who knows, the lost city of Atlantis was insert crazy thing, right? And then all of a sudden now the lost city of Atlantis, the AI identifies that the lost city of Atlantis is now something you're interested in. And it's now tying that into cooking videos. And it's now tying that into gaming videos. And now it becomes like a part of everything because you engage on that topic more. It's pushing people over the edge, right? Maybe is the lost city of Atlantis influencing my salad today? I know it's a ridiculous example, but for me, this could be dangerous of having humans interacting directly with artificial intelligence that just gives you what you want to hear. People think that there's an echo chamber on social media right now. Well, what if we removed the middleman, if you will, in this case, which is us talking to each other, and the echo chamber just gave us the echoes that were perfectly designed just for us? That sounds freaky. You think that's dangerous?
Yeah, I think this whole vision of the future of content is super scary, and like you said, easily manipulated, also easily influencing people, especially if they don't really fully understand what's happening on the other side of it. But I mean, like I said, this is all just a fantasy vision that Vic had when thinking about all this stuff a couple weeks ago.
Well, it's the logical conclusion eventually, right? But will it be dystopian? Who knows? Let's talk about how this is going to impact the gaming industry, though. So, I wanted to talk about how we see AI playing a role in blockchain gaming and entertainment. And so, what I did as an exercise here is I just looked at some job posts on the gaming website. So this is the careers page at Blizzard. I'm not recommending you work there, everybody. But if we just look at these careers, senior software engineer, data scientist, communications specialist, all of those jobs, for example, I'm just randomly the top 4 jobs here. Basically, senior software engineer just writes text. Okay, AI. Data scientist, AI. Lead software engineer, AI. Communications, like we just talked about, AI. So all of these jobs here in the gaming industry look like they could just potentially be replaced by AI, and at the very least, augmented by AI to help them, at least in the meantime, do their jobs more effectively. And then looking at electronic arts as another example, similar types of roles here, whether they're game designers or product owners for various things. All of these jobs to me look like jobs that could eventually be replaced by artificial intelligence, and at the very least have a significant amount of these roles basically handled by AI. 80%, 90% of the work is just done by artificial intelligence. Why are you going to rely on an individual human's expertise and knowledge of game design, of software, of coding? Why are you going to rely on the humans to coordinate with each other in meetings where we make voice sounds and it's super inefficient? There's only a couple words per second coming out of my mouth when the AI could just do all of that effectively and cut out 90% of the labor. So I know that I'm portraying that in a sort of an extreme way, but do you see artificial intelligence in the context of what people used to think as irreplaceable creative jobs? People used to think of creative jobs as could never be replaced by machines. Well, we see right now you could just type into ChatGPT, literally, code me a website for XYZ parameters, and it'll just spit out the code. And this is just the baby version. So do we think artificial intelligence could potentially take over and greatly influence the gaming and entertainment industries? What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely becoming more realistic that AI will, or a singularity AI, which is kind of like an all-knowing super AI, would just be able to do all of our jobs for us. And you got to think about the economic disruption that would create in society. So it's not something we like to think about. Like, even right now, there's so much competition, no matter what you do. In the 1970s, there wasn't competition like this. You'd go to high school, you get out, you maybe go to college, but you'd get a good job, you buy a house for what now is super cheap, and then you're good. That generation kind of thinks we have it easy, and we really, really don't. If you made, I think I saw this thing, it was like if you made $35,000 in 1970 something, that's worth like almost $250,000 a year in today's money because of inflation. That alone is just mind bending to think about. They were buying houses for so much cheaper. Now, kind of where I'm going with this is back then there wasn't competition. You just get out of high school, you get the job, you work, you're happy. Now there's so much competition, not just domestically, but overseas. Example, I'm looking for a video editor right now because I want to scale up my content output and production. So I made a tweet and I got a lot of replies, probably 50, 60 replies from video editors, sent me their portfolios. I don't think any of them were from North America. I don't think any of the ones that I talked to were from North America, genuinely. And, you know, it's only more competitive now that we have the internet. But then when you bring in this super being that can do anything and everything instantly, it's not even competition anymore. It's almost like we're irrelevant. So I think that's the really big fear here, is that everyone just becomes irrelevant. It doesn't matter how good you are at how many different things. There's just always in the future, most likely going to be a computer version of that task being done more effectively, for cheaper, quicker. And then what do you do? Why would anyone pay you to do anything? Company culture, right? Like, that's it, really.
Yeah, I've experienced something similar when putting out job postings for creative roles. And so before AI, and even before globalization with the internet, having the skills to execute creative tasks and knowledge tasks was super valuable, and you could get high pay for that. But now that someone whose cost of living is 1/10 of yours has the same level of skill, can use AI to do that job better, and is basically caught up with you, and you can pay them 1/10 of what you would be paid, let's say in the United States, that obviously creates a crisis for people that are, let's say, white collar workers. Now, let me play devil's advocate here, where we're kind of painting AI in a doomsday type of way. Sounds like we both think similarly. But there is the concept of prompt engineering, as you're aware, as being a new skill set that everyone needs to learn in the future, given that AI will be taking over pretty much anything that is text, video, or even communications, who knows? And so prompt engineering is the concept that artificial intelligence in natural language, you can basically put an input into the AI, text input, and your mastery of how to tell the AI what you want on the other side is the skill of the future. And so that's how we can become more productive and stay ahead of the curve, at least in the meantime. You know, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe singularity happens. Maybe this transformation happens and we become worthless. But what are your thoughts on prompt engineering being the gaming industry job of the future, the creative job of the future, the accountant of the future, even the plumber of the future, typing into their AI, how to solve a problem that's right in front of them, the warehouse engineer that works for Amazon, or the warehouse manager that works from Amazon, typing in the right prompts into AI. So what are your thoughts on prompt engineering potentially being a way, us essentially interfacing with the artificial intelligence, being the way that we stay relevant in the future and don't get put into obscurity or become irrelevant because of artificial intelligence?
It's definitely the transitionary step towards some sort of singularity type of thing, or singularity type of AI model. Now, prompt engineering right now is super relevant because we're text prompting with these generative tools like Midjourney, ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
Jasper, all these other ones, right? Like, we have to tell it what we want in order for it to give us that thing. And there are tricks. There's different ways with ChatGPT. You can tell it, you are an expert copywriter. I'm going to give you this and you're going to give me this. Like, that's a very standard method of prompt engineering. Even with Midjourney, you can add different weights to what you're telling it. So if you're like, I want a cat in a black hat. Well, if I put more weight on the black hat, the hat will be enormous and the cat will be tiny. But if I put more weight on the cat, the hat will be tiny, and the cat prompts to customize what we're doing, and that's good for right now. The thing about AI right now is it's like, and I know we say this about crypto all the time, so it's kind of cliche to say, but it's way too early. Like, we are so ridiculously early. Like, if crypto is a baby, AI right now is like the egg. Like, it's not even a thing yet. It's so prehistoric. It doesn't even really.
I like
It's
to call
just
it primordial goo early. So it's
yeah,
it's
dude.
that
Like
early right now.
it's
Yeah.
so early, and like to think prompt engineering is gonna be relevant for the long term. I don't think it will be. I think it's relevant right now based on the tools we have right now, but I don't think eventually it's going to be the thing that we use to communicate with it. I don't know what that thing will be, but text is pretty ineffective for the most part.
Well, I'd like to challenge the AI to create better looking art than we're creating at Illuvitars. This is our segue, so you can take a drink of water. And I want to thank our sponsor for this episode, Illuvium. We are Illuvium. And I'm going to play a quick video for you guys. Check out these Illuvitars. AI, I got your number, man. You got nothing on our team. Check out this video, and we'll be right back to talk about regulation. See you there. Yes, that's right. Illuvium.io/Illuvitars. Go build an Illuvitar today. Make sure you register so you don't miss out on this. Not only can you create your own custom Illuvitar by putting accessories on top of your Illuvitar, we also have an album collection game that you can slot in all of those Illuvitars into a collection, get rewards. It's fun. It's cool. You know, it's kind of freaky, man. Even just watching that video as a part of this conversation, it's taken me decades, and Andy, the editor for that video, decades, and Nico, the audio, the person who contributed to the audio, decades, and everybody that made that video to reach like that level of mastery. Let's say we're just a couple guys can make a video like that together in a shorter period of time. Decades to master those skills. And to think that artificial intelligence could just generate that at the press of a button, it's freaking me out right now, actually. But anyway, let's move on to regulation, a topic that should freak us out even more. So in the headlines, it's been just sort of a bloodbath, and it's been a lot of FUD, to be honest, recently about regulation. Let's just cover a couple of the quick headlines and then talk about what the implications could be for our industry, the blockchain industry in general. So what was kind of crazy is that the SEC went after Kraken, and Kraken ended up doing a $30 million settlement to no longer offer staking services on its platform. The SEC was asserting that they didn't do the proper disclosures on that. Also, we saw rumors, and Circle is denying those rumors. Circle is the company that is regulated, that is responsible for USDC, US dollar coin. Potentially the SEC may crack down on that. And there's many other examples of the SEC. Essentially, what looks like they're going after like maybe a coordinated takedown or crackdown, or at least a series of crackdowns, maybe to send a message to the industry to comply. So here's my question to you, Vic. You know, everybody knew crypto regulation was coming. After Celsius and Voyager and Three Arrows Capital and FTX collapsed, a lot of people said, we need regulation. A few months later, or really less than a year later, we're getting a lot of regulation. But is this the right regulation? Is this actually helping the industry? That's my first question to you.
All right. No, definitely not. Gary Gensler has some sort of weird vendetta, either with Web3 or crypto as a whole. I feel like these coordinated attacks have a lot to do with a CBDC coming around the corner, the Fed coin, digital currency, because clearly the US dollar is not as desirable as it used to be. It's lost a lot of value since the start of its inception. I think 99% of its value it's lost.
97% are the numbers I've seen. So if you compare it to the inception of the dollar to today, it's lost 97 cents out of the 100 cents. So you only have 3 cents per dollar remaining. That's the number I've seen and kind of parroted around. So you think that these crackdowns is in a reaction to how vulnerable the dollar is right now, given it's not just inflation right now. This is historical inflation since 1913 to today. If the currency has lost 97% of its value, there's only 3% left. I mean, is this like Marvel movies? We're entering the end game here for the dollar and they realize it? Is that what is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And 100%. And there's also a lot of different nations right now wanting to build their own currency, and really just the entire agenda at the moment, especially like if we're going to talk World Economic Forum type agenda, they're wanting to implement some sort of carbon tracking system, some sort of financial tracking system, and a CBDC is the way that you do that. A central bank digital currency, that's how you do. And a lot of people think, oh, our money is digital already, but it's not. It's not programmable. It's not anything controllable by any means, right? It's literally just invisible air money, not really real at this point. I think I forget exactly how much, but something like 80% of US dollars aren't even actual physical dollars. It's all just in a computer, but it's not on a blockchain. It's not trackable. It's not programmable. It's not software. It's just, made up. So they need to create a transition into a central bank digital currency where we are being tracked. All our transactions are being tracked. They can control the money, the flow of money. They already have this in China where you can actually only hold so much of their CBDC before
you're referring to the digital yuan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that allows them to have more of a social credit system, which the United States could go in that direction as well. But not only USDC, but the day before yesterday, BUSD, which is Binance stablecoin, they got slapped by, I think it was like the New York Financial Services Department or something like that. And basically Paxos, which issues BUSD, they're not allowed to issue any more BUSD. And the SEC is coming after them too. So they're making a big push against stable coins. They're going to argue that they have to because of Terra Luna and what happened with UST, but it's a completely different technology. BUSD is backed by $1 for every BUSD. That's what Paxos' job is to maintain that peg. But I really feel like this push is happening because they have to dismantle the trust that's left in crypto in order to bring in their own crypto dollar, their own digital dollar.
Got it. So you think you think it is a coordinated attack, if you will, to bring in the digital dollar.
Big time.
I have a different opinion. So I think that that makes sense logically. Like if you look at the events and you're like, I need to put together a story in my head to explain what's going on right now. But in my experience, governments are not that competent at coordinating with each other, especially different departments. Congress coordinating with different, like to do a mass coordination and a mass takedown of something like stablecoins or crypto. I don't think that the government is even capable of orchestrating something like that, to be perfectly honest. However, these events can be correlated with each other. And so I think that the way that these sorts of situations happen is each individual department of governments, this isn't just the US government, this is at large, they're focusing on self-preservation. And the way that governments preserve themselves is to spend every dollar of their budget that they're allocated right now, number one. And number two, to get more budget in the future to expand their department. The bigger it becomes, the more power they get, and the more influence they get, and the more that they can just be a career government person. The same thing is the case for elected officials. It's all about self-preservation. What do I need to do now to get reelected? Consideration number one is satisfying the lobbyists that pay the money, and consideration number two is satisfying the voters that vote them into office. I think right now it just happens to align that elected officials and appointed officials in different areas of the government both benefit with their own self-preservation, benefits from them going after crypto at this moment. I don't think it's coordinated because I don't think they're competent enough to coordinate with each other. That's just my personal view on the matter. Now, let me ask you this question. Sorry, everybody in government. I just don't think, I think government's too big and it's not agile enough to really coordinate like a business could or a startup could. Let me ask you this. What is the best case scenario for regulation in the blockchain industry, generally speaking? And let's narrow that in the sectors that you and I are most interested in gaming and in entertainment. What sort of regulation would help us better make entertainment, better make media, better make games, better operate this sector of blockchain, in your opinion? What's that like? If you were like, I've got a friendly regulator that's got my back, what does that look like to you?
So the first thing that has to happen, which most people agree on, is deciding the rules not only on crypto as a security, but crypto as a currency, and creating two different rule sets for each. So cryptos, a bunch are securities, whether people want to admit them or not, and a bunch are actual just currencies that are used for transactional purposes on like a network, and it has utility to actually purchase something like gas, right? So the first thing that needs to happen is create the tool pools, create rule sets, and that's just how it is. We shouldn't be afraid to have crypto securities. Like, we shouldn't be afraid of that. We should just have rules for it. And if you have rules for it, follow the rules, but the rules need to be fair. It can't just be like, oh, your security, boom, lawsuit. Like, that's not, there's no innovation that's going to happen in the space because of that. If it's a security, sure, create the rule set that's appropriate for a crypto security, but realize that there's two buckets. There might even be a third bucket that we don't even realize, but there's going to be two main buckets.
And so just to be clear on that,
yeah,
things that would maybe obviously be a currency would be things like stable coins, which will eventually become central bank digital currencies. And then the things that may be like securities would be insert maybe tens of thousands of tokens that are maybe listed out there right now. Maybe most of those would be securities, and there'd be a few exceptions along the way. Is that kind of how you'd bucket those right now?
Well, a security is typically representing some sort of company or organization. So that's kind of why XRP has been the focal point of the SEC, because it's like XRP is Ripple's coin, but there's more than that because they have their own network and they have their own use cases and whatnot. So that's why they're fighting back and they're winning. But it can look like that on the surface. So that's really the major thing. Like, if I buy a security and it's like Meta stock is a security because I'm buying into ownership of that company. So there's going to be cryptocurrencies, and there are cryptocurrencies where, like, by owning it, you benefit from the growth of the company. And that's really the purpose of owning it.
Okay, that makes sense to me. You know, I saw a talk by a former SEC chairman speaking about the current situation and what he described. And I thought this was interesting. He said that instead of we're kind of doing regulation in the reverse order of what would be beneficial to the industry. And I agreed with his position. He was on CNN, I think, talking about this. And he said that the way we're handling the way the rest of the world, that's not the United States, is handling crypto regulation, is they are forming a unique body within their government to handle digital assets. Just a specialized unit, a specialized department just to handle this space, because it's a new technology that isn't necessarily a commodity and it isn't necessarily a security. It's something new. And so that's what the rest of the world's doing. The United States instead is saying, let's try to shoehorn this into being a security. We're not going to provide any guidance at all on how to operate, and we're going to throw the book at you. But there's nothing actually in the book that tells you what the rules are, but I'm just going to throw it at you anyway. And so what he was describing is that basically, this is the former SEC chairman saying, we're doing this the opposite way that it should be getting done. and the rest of the world is doing it the right way, or a lot of the rest of the world is doing it the right way, where they create a new agency to manage digital assets. They create guidance and rules on how to operate within that space, and then they communicate those rules to the industry. And then if you don't comply, they throw the book at you. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like the United States has it in the wrong order, or is that too simplified? Is it too complicated to simplify in that way?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And really, because it's so new, and most of the people that are in a regulatory position, they don't get it, they don't understand, and they don't have context, and they don't know the different nooks and crannies of the industry already. This is the way you got to do it, is bring on the people that actually understand it, bring on the people that are in the space, building in the space, that see all the problems and the pitfalls and the people getting screwed over, and the liquidity grabs and the scams and the don't click this link type thing, the hacks, all the problems with crypto. Because like, to be into crypto and to say there's no problems, that's a lie. Like, there's so many problems with crypto. And again, to say that there's none is just not true. Like, there's been billions hacked in the past couple of years, which is a huge problem right there by itself. And then at the same time, there's pump and dumps that happen right in front of our eyes, and we're just like, oh, okay, well, guess another pump and dump, and like nothing happens about it. So these are the things we need to regulate. Do we need to regulate Kraken, which is like an exchange that's in really good standing? Why?
That seemed really weird to me, that Kraken was a target. They seemed like they were operating in the United States. They seem to be coordinating, and we don't know everything. We're just outside speculators. They seem to be coordinating and complying with the United States government. And then I'm wondering, my reaction as soon as I saw that story is, why is Kraken getting a $30 million fine, but the SEC let Celsius and Voyager and FTX and Three Arrows Capital and all of these other operations bloat until they bankrupted and blew up? But we're going to go after trusted names like Kraken that are complying, and they're going to have to pay the bill for that. It just seems like maybe this is just that self-preservation theory I was telling you about earlier. Once these bad examples blew up, the regulators and politicians realized we need to do something so it looks like we're responsible adults. Otherwise, we're going to get voted out of office or lose our elected job. I don't know. That was my reaction to that. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, you're really going after Kraken, but you let FTX happen? It seemed strange to me. It just seems like it's just a reaction and there's not a master plan. Just my theory. But so in your opinion, should Kraken have pushed back?
I think they did the right thing just by taking the slap and moving forward. 30 million isn't the end of the world for them. But I really think that my view and your view, Andrew, are definitely different. I think that it's not necessarily the government persuading all of this. It's some sort of above elite conspiracy theory vibe organization.
Okay.
I have the names of these organizations that I already know, and I look into this stuff, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I think that there are more coordinated, smarter people that are controlling a lot of these things, like kind of like puppet strings. And that's just what I observe. And it makes sense to me why they would want FTX to implode. It makes sense to me why they would want to come after basically any crypto institution that they can, and have someone in the chairman position at the SEC who's going to do that stuff and just be ruthless about that, because they can't install, and I'll go back to CBDC, they can't install a CBDC successfully with crypto evolving the way that it is, because it's a direct competitor of their primary objective. Like, the CBDC is like the holy grail of oppression. It is really, truly the masterful tool of controlling the people, because they already control us by you have to work, you have to pay taxes, but they don't control the actual assets, the actual money that we own. They can try to, but they don't actually have their finger on the button. With a CBDC, they do. So this to me is their primary objective, and crypto is huge and it's in their way and they need to take it out. So the gloves are off for them.
Okay, that's fair. So the position I've seen, at least within the gaming industry, and then we're going to move on to next gen games. The gaming industry sentiment I've seen, all the dinners I've attended, all the executives I've talked to, the folks in the influencer space covering blockchain gaming, crypto gaming, metaverse, the entertainment industry here using blockchain technology. The sentiment from 100% of people I've talked to is we just want clear guidelines to understand, to follow. And once we have those clear guidelines, everybody is ready to comply. I don't see anybody out here wanting to be a cowboy and go pew pew against the governments and stuff like that in the entertainment, blockchain, and gaming spaces. It seems like everybody's just like, we're trying really hard to comply. A lot of folks are spending a lot of money on lawyers to try to comply. And even the most expensive and most brilliant lawyers still can't tell you what it is to comply with, because the job of the regulator has not been done in so many jurisdictions yet. So I think what's going to happen in the entertainment and gaming industry is once we have clear guidance on what rules to follow when it comes to digital assets, there will be instant compliance. Like instant. Like I feel like everybody in this industry is ready to just jump into compliance immediately. Nobody's trying to be a cowboy and buck the government. They just want to comply so we can make cool video games, make fun entertainment, and just use blockchain technology so the customers can own their assets. That's my perception of the situation. But we need to talk about more important things, Vic, like Harry Potter. So we both discussed how we're both playing
for this.
we're both playing Hogwarts Legacy right now. And why am I bringing up this example? Not to talk about Hogwarts Legacy specifically necessarily, but to talk about what the next generation of big blockbuster games are like. The big blockbuster game of today is Hogwarts Legacy. It has hundreds of thousands of people streaming it on the front page of Twitch, and it's more or less a traditional open world game. I'm curious to get your opinion on it, but where I'm going with that is you're playing Hogwarts Legacy right now, so am I. In next gen gaming, the next evolution of gaming, the next big leap forward for gaming, will legacy game developers like Warner Brothers Game or Portkey Games that made Hogwarts Legacy integrate blockchain technology into their future games? Let's say Hogwarts Legacy 5, let's say, in the future. Or will they just continue to run the current model they're running to maximize their profits? Curious to know what you think about that.
I mean, you kind of answered it for me on your last point. Like, you guys at Illuvium don't even know what to do, and you are a blockchain game. Like that's the foundation of Illuvium. For someone like Warner Brothers or Blizzard or EA or Portkey Games, right? They're not going to get into a space where they're like, well, we don't know if we can sell our like these NFTs. We don't know yet. Like we don't want to deal with that. They're definitely not going to get into the arena, and they're going to try and save face for as long as possible. But there eventually will be a point, especially on an online game. I don't necessarily see it being so important on a game like this because it's offline. Like I just play in my own open world setting and I'm good. Every spell that I upgrade to, every gear that I have is just saved locally on my system, and that's really all I need. But in a game like World of Warcraft, in a game like Roblox, where you are in a massive online world with many other thousands, millions of other players, and you have hundreds, thousands of different items and spells and everything like that, it's going to be just easier for the gaming companies to organize data and have a better gaming flow and happier users if they use a blockchain to sort out that information. In my opinion, it just makes more sense that a user would truly own something and be able to see it on a public database, a public blockchain, and see the moment that they got that item and remember it as a contract, rather than it's just like, oh yeah, they got it and it's there, but if something ever happens, the servers go offline because no one likes to play that game anymore, but I still like to play that game. Well, then it's gone. That sucks. So I feel like the blockchain component will come for multiplayer games online, but it's not going to happen until like there is serious, clear or regulatory guidelines.
So you think that the regulatory hurdle is what's keeping Call of Duty and, you know, everybody out there from jumping in? Like do you feel like, you know, let's say Blizzard Activision this is just a random franchise example, okay? Let's just say, do you think Blizzard Activision, if they had regulatory clarity, they'd just be pooping out Call of Duty NFTs all day, blockchaining it up, and then implementing and testing new business models?
No,
if regulatory clarity was there, do you feel like they would be doing that today, or would they need to wait until there's more quote unquote adoption in the industry?
Didn't Diablo try to do something like with the blockchain and it just like blew up in their face and everyone was pissed?
They didn't do anything with the blockchain. So Diablo 3 did a real money auction house,
right?
Using kind of like, let's call it legacy technology, not blockchain technology, to sell items so that players could sell items on a marketplace and that are worth real money. And players rejected it, but this was like 10 years ago. And so that was way ahead of its time. And so that is a big example of players. And it was shocking to me to see players not wanting to be able to trade certain assets for others. But they didn't like it. They said, get that money out of my game. So they were not okay with the exchange aspect of the real money auction house. But they complained about microtransactions. And they complained about subscriptions. And they complained about the value of the video games and experiences being locked behind paywalls or making the games deliberately less fun unless you paid for money. So on one hand, they were presented a solution to the problem, which is you can just trade your stuff for money and go get the other stuff. And they said, we don't like that solution, but we also don't like the current business model. And so gamers kind of said, we don't like anything.
Yeah, which is typical.
Which is typical. Yeah, they said we don't like anything. So I'm wondering just if the Diablo 3 real money auction house is on the blockchain, does that change the sentiment of the gamer? I don't know if it does. What are your thoughts?
I really feel like it's going to happen, especially because like statistics for gameplay. I mean, you can go and check out your profile and your stats and all that stuff, and it's just already going in that direction. I feel it's just the timing, and you know these companies are trying to save face too. They were probably already working on it, and then the metaverse just became like less popular, or the market crashed, or whatever. But I do think it's coming. I think that blockchain gaming is going to be one of the leaders of the next bull rally, and you're going to see some big companies come out and get on that wave too. But regulatory clarity and market sentiment are big components here.
Okay, that's fair. You know, there's this idea that all these technologies are coming together, and a big proponent of that is somebody like Kathy Wood, who famously likes to talk about, and I'll show some stuff on the screen here, but she like famously likes to talk about how this is sort of the exponential age right now. Genomics and AI and automation and fintech, it's all converging and it's all kind of coming together for this one big exponential growth curve. And she's talking about how these innovations will increase in value by cajillions. And she sells a financial product where you can buy in on this idea. And so I wanted to ask you, she calls it, they brand it disruptive innovation. But what I wanted to, which is very marketing-y, but what I wanted to bring up with you is, I always like what she has to say. Obviously, she's trying to sell a financial product, of course. I like the ideas that she has to say. So I want to ask you, do you buy in on the idea that all these new emerging technologies, AI, genomics, blockchain, it's all coming together and it all sends us on this exponential growth curve into infinity? Or are these technologies going to stay more separate and not going to exponentially compound on each other? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely overlap, like AI playing a part in blockchain. We're seeing that try to happen right now. because AI is just really good at sorting out information. That's what we see with like ChatGPT and with the image processing. It's just taking all of these images, all of this text, and it's just sorting it and resorting it for the user. That's what AI is really good at. So the blockchain is a ton of information. That's really what it is. It's contracts and transactions, and it's just all there unorganized. So AI can go in, sort all that out, and they can create solutions around that. So I think that's a good fit. Now, when you're talking about like,
So you think AI is the technology that kind of connects the dots on all of these other technologies. So if other technologies are helping us live longer or own our stuff on the internet or be in the metaverse, you think AI is maybe the connecting thread between all those technologies that bring them closer to us?
it's
And
the
maybe
connecting thread of data. So our world is comprised of insane amounts of data, like Amazon, TikTok, Google, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Every tech company is built on data, but data in itself is hard to deal with. You need a model, a computer, an AI to go in and sort that data in a way that a human or a team of humans could never do. And that's where the true value of AI comes from, is sorting through data. Because like I said, Midjourney itself, I think it has over 5 billion images or something that it sources from. I think it's 5 billion. ChatGPT has I forget, it was like 750 million sources or something like that. So this is a lot of information, and the model, all it does is it takes all that information, and then when you ask it something, it just pulls the right information and provides it back to you. That's really all it's doing. So AI, if it can sort the information in the genome, in the blockchain, and whatever else Kathy Wood says, then yeah, it's gonna be valuable. It's gonna be the thing to do it, because we're not gonna do it. There's no way we could do it.
got it. So our creation can do it for us is the idea. And you kind of buy in on that idea, assuming that artificial intelligence can help us. Otherwise, it'll take a really long time to solve these problems by us using our abacuses and bean counters. The AI accelerates the process. Is that a fair summary?
Absolutely.
Okay. So with the rise of AI, then let me ask you very specifically. This is going to be our last topic for the episode. How do you see it impacting games and metaverse experiences? This is very near and dear to Illuvium's heart, obviously. Obviously, we have fabulous metaverses out there, such as Meta. Sorry. But anyway, you know, they've got it all. They've got people on bicycles. They've got people with sparkles on their face. They're fighting cancer too. They've got it all. And also there's rumors that Apple, maybe kind of getting confirmed-y kind of rumors, mixed reality headset, whatever, virtual reality headset from Apple. The big boys are hopping in here, right? That's the point of sharing this. The big money, the billion-dollar players are coming in. So the question I want to ask you is, how do you see AI impacting video games and metaverse experiences 10 years from now? Is the future players like Mark Zuckerberg and Meta plug an AI into their metaverse and like it just like generates a custom experience for everybody? Are these traditional tech players going to embrace artificial intelligence and plug it into their entertainment experiences? Or are they going to try to keep it at arm's length to ensure that they don't lose control? What are your thoughts on that? That 10 years from now, AI and entertainment, how do you think that's going to change the entertainment business and industry?
It's kind of what I was talking about with social media content and AI at the very start of this episode. So it's a good kind of like loopy loop we did. But it's all about being dynamic. So AI will process data faster than humans. So typically a game comes out and the story and the characters and the NPCs and all the missions and the quests and side quests are all written and they're set in stone.
Right.
The studio a certain amount of time to collect the information based on, okay, they didn't like these quests, they like these quests, they didn't like this boss, they like this boss. So let's make more of the ones they liked and less of the ones they didn't. Now, when AI is implemented or AI models are implemented 10 years from now, it won't be like that. The game will start to dynamically shift the story and quests based on the user and the user's inputs and the data it collects. So if it determines that you are like a side quest type of player, it's going to start popping up new side quests. If it determines that you enjoyed or you beat this one boss in one try, but you took you four lives to kill this other boss, well, they're probably going to adjust the experience level based on that information. So I think like dynamic storytelling and dynamic gameplay is going to be huge with AI coming into gaming.
Interesting. That makes sense. And I can see AI being a huge boon. I had a conversation with Grant Warwick, our co-founder, and he was kind of enlightening me on the possibilities of AI on at least the creative field he works in. So like you're saying, humans design all those quests and systems. Humans also design all the rocks and trees and ground and mountains and terrain and guns and armor and all of these assets in video games. But if AI were able to generate those in the press of a button, and maybe you just give it some guidance on the style of those or the parameters for those, the need for large creative teams doing an insane amount of manual execution work might not be needed. But instead, having, I hate the term, but the term prompt engineers, prompting really killer ideas and great ideas to the AI to generate those things, that could be the future. So that probably means that the scope of games will increase, the quality of games will increase, the customization of those experiences will increase. And so does AI mean we get better video games? What do you think?
Cheaper, better, more dynamic, customized video game experiences. Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's fair. So really quick, before we tell everyone where they can find you on the internet, which they should be finding you on the internet. I'm going to pull that up in a moment. I would assume that nothing we said in this episode today represents the views of any companies. We're not lawyers. We're not financial advisors. We touched on a lot of like legal-ish topics, right? Regulation, financial products. I even pulled up ARK Invest, wasn't recommending that. Is it fair to say that we weren't recommending those things or advising anyone to buy those things or do those things? It was just our own personal opinions for discussion. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, Gary. All right, perfect. So where can people find you on the internet, amigo? And why would they want to find you?
So I make content around Web3, finance, tech, AI stuff, I guess, whatever I'm really into, which most people in our world are into as well. If you're on TikTok, you can find me on TikTok, Vic.Laranja. However, if you are on YouTube, preferably, or Instagram, you can actually just go to search my name and I will come up. Now, disclaimer, there are other accounts that pretend to be me, which is so cool and so great. Then people are always like, oh, you made it when, but I don't really see it like that. Like it's super annoying. So watch out for impersonator Vix. But you can follow me online and just get all my content on your platform of choice.
That's great. And in the description of both the audio version of this show, as well as the video version, we will have his official links. Please follow him. Great succinct videos, especially on TikTok, on all of the topics we're talking about today. And of course, I mentioned the video version. Guys, go to illuvium.buzzsprout.com. I'm going to cut down an audio version if you want to listen to our sexy voices while you're doing a workout or doing the dishes or creating AI prompts. Go there and you can listen to the audio version. Vic, thank you so much for your time. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was awesome that it was just one-on-one, back and forth. Great flow. I like this. This is awesome.
Yeah, you and I generally, well, we're into the same stuff. But I'm glad we disagreed on things. That made me happy. I'm going to boot you out now, though. Thank you for joining me. I want you to come back on the show. And all of you, thank you for watching. Look, at Illuvium, we're just trying to lead the conversation about emerging technologies, about gaming, about blockchain, AI. And my promise every episode is that you'll learn at least 2 new things every episode. You know you did. Comment below what the 2 new things you learned were. Thank you. We'll see you in the next episode. Adios. Enjoy a little Illuvium soundtrack music on our way out.